Hey, Christina, welcome to the Value Driven Marketing Podcast. So excited to have you today, and I'm very curious to learn about DRUID. You've been doing great stuff. And yeah, just very curious and excited to talk about your journey so far. So, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Elena. It's such a big pleasure to be here today. As we chatted a little bit before, for me, this is the first time when I'm the one interviewed, so I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm looking forward to telling you about DRUID and about the things that we do in marketing at DRUID.
Great. So let's start here. Let's talk a bit about your journey so far. So some key, I don't know, pivotal moments in Druid's journey, and maybe the factors that helped you reach those milestones.
DRUID is a very young company, but we had a lot of things going on in the past
Mm-hmm.
4 years. So the company was co-founded in 2018, and from the sort of very intuitive idea. So there are these three components that are the basis of DRUID: the idea of self-service, mobility, and the need to chat. So,
Mm-hmm.
Liviu, our CEO and founder, thought about this idea, brought his team together, the other three co-founders, and they created the DRUID. So, in 1 year and a half, the product was ready and was ready to be launched. And during that same period of time, we started to have clients from major financial institutions in Romania, like Banca Transilvania, Erste Groups, um, then we had OTP and big financial institutions. Then we started to acquire new clients from different domains. So we targeted the retail networks like Carrefour, Metro. We gained a lot of traction also in the healthcare industry. So, like with Regina Maria becoming one of our biggest clients in Romania. And then we actually entered in Telecom and Orange. So, in Romania, in 1 year and a half, we were we were, let's say, dominating the market in Romania. And once we did that, we decided, let's take another challenge because we like challenges, in a startup. The challenge is one of the definitions of a startup, and we decided to go to in the international market. So by the end of
Mm-hmm.
2020, almost 40% of our clients were from international markets. So we have through our strategic partnership with also with UiPath, we reached clients from we have clients on all the continents except for Antarctica, and of course, but
Those places where
yeah,
people don't really
yeah,
live.
they don't really use conversational AI, but who knows, maybe it's something that we
In the
should
future.
look into. So we gained a lot of traction also in the international market. Just a few let's say if just a few numbers. Last year we had 62 new logos in 2021. We have a strong partnership ecosystem because as we grew with from the clients base perspective, we also grew our partner ecosystem. Now we have over 140 partners from all around the world. We closed the year with $2.7 million in annual recurring revenue. And this year, because we like to take another challenge, we decided that we should focus on a figure that we think it's attainable, and that's of $8.5 million in RRR. So as you can see, our growth is not it's exponential.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think it's attainable due to also the investment that we just got. So we are let's say constantly doing and improving our product and moving towards a more like prosperous place. And now because we also this year we decided to have another strategic to take another strategic step, and that would be to move from the idea of virtual assistants, only virtual assistants, and we're moving to the conversational business applications. That means that with our platform, DRUID becomes an end-to-end platform that can help businesses, any business, build and create applications based on conversational AI. And this idea, this inflection point was also, let's say, justified by the fact that in the analysts context, like we last year we were mentioned in reports from Everest, Avaragon, IDC, Forrester, and they all say that this is the trend towards for the conversational AI. So, and we decided to ride this wave and do this because the market of the virtual assistants is it's crowded, and our platform, our core advantages of our technology, the DRUID technology, allows us to move towards conversational business applications. So that's what we are going to focus on with this new investment, like on developing this part of the product and the platform for with CBA, and investing a lot in marketing, of course, and sales. So that would be in large, let's say, what happened in last years and how we plan to move forward.
Quite a lot to unpack, and I'm just curious, what would you say has fueled this very rapid expansion? So you had the technology in a year, you already started acquiring big customers in the local market, then quickly expanded outside of the local market. So what would you say were those two, three things that fueled this quick expansion?
I think it was our ongoing partner ecosystem, because we're a partner driven company. So we rely a lot on our network of partners, and also on our strategic alliances with UiPath, with Microsoft, the SAP. We have also we are also our partners with KPMG, Deloitte, EY. So we have these partnerships that helped us a lot to enter new markets. And also, I think in Romania, for example, what helped a lot was, of course, Liviu's image and notoriety, because he had this successful business before. This DRUID was completely something that he had to reinvent himself to start DRUID. But of course, from the marketing point of view, of course, we because he is very well known in the market, and he's an authority in things related to the tech area in Romania. So we also capitalized on that. But in international, I think it were our strategic alliances, and then of course the product. I mean, we have this sort of now almost innate need to chat. So taking that and putting into a business to automate some processes, it came natural, and our clients actually decided, once they tasted and saw the potential and how the productivity of the enterprise increased through through using DRUID, they came back for more. For example, we have a 228 retention rate in clients. We didn't lose any clients. All we did was upsell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so one of the largest banks, for example, started with one virtual assistant, and now they have 8. So and now that you asked me, I have another idea came to my mind. It was the fact that we had this strategy to start with the local, the company that are in Romania, from like big chains, like from General. We started with General in Romania, and then we went to another 3 countries. So we wanted to start from the local, like the local business, and then go to the group level. So that was also one of the strategies.
So it seems you also had the right product at the right time. I also remember chatting to you at the beginning of the pandemic, where your product really grew during that time, and you were very active. So I hear that it's a combination between, a product market fit, so having the right
Mm-hmm.
product at the right time, also capitalizing on the CEO's reputation, and recognizability in the market,
Mm-hmm.
and then growing with your clients and with your partners, and expanding outside of the country through them.
Yes, we were talking before about speed. So in the beginning of the pandemic, for example, for the Banca Transilvania, in just 2 weeks, we created a virtual assistant for credit deferral because there's a lot of requests and they couldn't process them all in the office. So they came to us with the request. They came to us, and we made it possible in 2 weeks. So yes, in a startup you have to continuously adapt to the needs of the client, of course, and you have to do it fast.
Christina, I would like to detail a bit about how do you go about creating value for both your clients and partners through your marketing. My belief is that companies that grow long term, they can no longer just have a good product. They also need to deliver value even before they make the sale. So my question is, how do you go about creating value for your customers and partners?
You are right. I mean, we in marketing know that sometimes you have a very good product, but because it's not well marketed, the company fails, or it has problems with sales, or go to market and stuff like that. As I said previously, because we're a partner driven company, so when
Mhm.
we put our partners and our clients to at the center of our activity. We have a strong community. For example, we have over 4,000 tenants that are created in our community. We have our partners, because they're from diverse backgrounds and have diverse experience, diverse areas of like industries that they are focusing on. So building on the relevant use cases for them, this is how we add value to how they promote and resell Druid. Then we, for example, we also focus a lot on content syndication. We promote the success stories that we have, like through case studies, because we want to show
Mhm.
clients, we want to show what has been done, and what and how they can use to their best interest the power of conversational AI and CBA with Druid. So we rely a lot of creating brand reputation, and focusing a lot on partners and what is relevant for them. Also, we have, for example, we have in our website, you can have a free trial, because as 1 in 3 marketers, they say that they, especially in B2B, people want to test before they buy. So the fact that they can
That's
interact directly on our website, they can open it, and they can see what the virtual assistant can do for them, even if it's just like a short interaction. It doesn't matter really, because they have the chance to experience by themselves what Druid can do for them. And then, of course, we support that with follow-ups and stuff like that. So this is how we create value.
And I think it's great that you allow people to test your product before having to have a sales conversation. So you're really catering to what they need rather than saying, "Hey, I need your email address, so I can share my technology, and then I can
Yes,
maybe nurture you." Christina, can we dive in a little bit on what are the marketing initiatives that have brought the best ROI for Druid so far?
So first, we rely a lot on inbound marketing. We realize
Mm-hmm.
that in B2B, I think from our point of view, doing inbound marketing is essential. Then we, as I said before, we rely also on content syndication. And here we have not, we do it not only via, PR,
Mm-hmm.
but we do it also through our analysts. I mean, having writing press releases with them, or other type of documents with them, that also helps a lot in our content syndication strategy. Then we do all sorts of activities of co-marketing with our partners, through which we also share content. And sometimes they come in the form of the webinars, maybe white papers, case studies, co-branded. So that's what we also do. We rely a lot on digital campaigns, because we need to create, to raise and increase the brand awareness of Druid. We automate the customer journey as much as possible. We rely on our community, as I said, of more than 4,000 tenants, of solutions. And in this, it's a very important number, because they're not only tenants that were created because people
Mm-hmm.
wanted to try Druid. Very very big portion of this number are actually solutions that were created together. So that also helps a lot, and in promoting and raising brand awareness. And as I said also before, we also rely, we want to grow internally our inside sales team, to create more demand gen, lead gen, outreach campaigns, so that we could, reach a larger market.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I'm hoping we can also detail a bit on this, because you're doing a lot of things. Some that have maybe quicker impact, some that show results on the long run, such as branding. So I'm just wondering if we can talk a bit about, what's the split between long term and short term marketing activities,
Mhm.
and how do you kind of decide where to put your focus, or how much effort to put into each of those? Like, what's your recipe, or how do you think about this?
In startups, at least in Druid, we don't talk about recipes, because the recipes are
Okay.
constantly changing. uh, but we have like, we decide on where to invest the most in marketing, according to the business plan, according to the
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
so as we have some changes that happen in the company, we also adapt the marketing strategy. But what can I tell you, that for example, is that in short term, of course, we focus a lot on digital campaigns, um, most digital campaigns and content syndication, that and PR
Mm-hmm.
activities. So these would be the actions that are short term. Long term, of course, we focus on increasing the brand awareness, getting more and more known internationally, because our focus for this year and for the next year is to open new offices in Western Europe, and to consolidate our office in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe also we'll have to move headquarters at a certain point, in may means soon, but not, we don't have like a date, but there is this possibility. So in order to do that, we also have to to juggle. We have a lot of balls on the table, and we have to juggle them as best as we can.
Christina, you mentioned a bit earlier something about challenges. So I would want to ask you, what would you say are the top challenges of working in a fast-growing environment, and how do you go about tackling those challenges?
Speed is the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity. And
Okay, interesting.
as I said, in the case of Banca Transilvania, we solved their problem. We solved the customer's problem in 2 weeks. They're very happy. They chose to have Druid, like more virtual assistants from Druid. So it's a successful story. Also, the speed can be a challenge because there is this um, need to constantly readapt to
Mm-hmm.
and make priorities in a startup. So I think that would be one of the biggest challenges, especially when you want an accelerated growth. When you want an accelerated growth, you have to understand the fact that there isn't like a perfect solution. There isn't. It's just sometimes, marketing in a startup is like, sometimes it can be like, working in the trenches during a war zone, uh, in a war zone. But it's, we enjoy the victories, so all the
Lots of
grinding.
fire to put
Yes,
off.
yes. So there is this. That's why you have to have a team that you can rely on. I mean, and by team, I'm not referring only to the marketing team, but I'm also referring to
Mm-hmm.
the team in general. And here, I think that um, another challenge maybe for a startup would be to have this culture in which people can actually sit at the table and have an honest discussion and solve an issue in the best interest of the company and the client and or the partner. And I think that these would be like the biggest challenges. But the most important thing is to have the right people. Actually, Liv, you said in one interview, when asked to, also in a podcast, when asked what he considers to be his like biggest win in the beginning of Druid, he said that hiring the right people to have to start this journey with. So I
Mm-hmm.
concur with him here, because if you don't have a culture and if you don't have the right people that are willing to put in the work and understand the real issue and so try to solve it and eventually solve it, but like having this mindset of let's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
this is the issue, let's solve it. I think that's the most important thing in a company, and I'm very lucky to be also in a company and also in a team that has this mindset. I think this helps us a lot.
I'm also curious to learn what are the North Star metrics, or KPIs you're looking at, and how do you go about connecting the effort that you're putting into marketing, all the investment. How do you connect that to generating revenue?
Hmm. So what we measure um, are the following metrics. Please take into consideration that as the company grew, we also had to change, a little bit what we measure and how we measure. But what we
Mm-hmm,
measure
mm-hmm,
right now is the average customer acquisition cost, the average deal size. Here we have a small difference because, for example, for the from we have a difference between local customers and international customers. Usually the value in the international is twice higher than the one that it's on the local market. Then we have the pipeline velocity, so how fast we take the customer, um, through all the stages of the journey. And we also, what we measure is the um, it, we measure sort of end to end the life cycle of a lead, in the sense that what we want to what we measure and what we want to see is leads becoming advocates of the brand. So not only becoming clients, but referring DRUID to other clients. So this is one of our latest metric that actually this one emerged from our client portfolio, and we were very happy when it did. And as more and more clients become advocates of our technology, of course, from a marketing point of view, this is just gold, and we also started to measure that, and so these would be like the metrics that we measure and we take into consideration. And every marketer's dream is to have more advocates.
Yeah.
Clients becoming like influencers sort of, and promoting DRUID from their point of view. So I think that that's the most important thing, because when a client promotes your technology, they're honest, they're truthful, and they're also objective, because they experienced, they saw the results, and they just want to share their knowledge further. And for that for a brand, for DRUID, is very, very important.
Christina, I also want to talk a bit about mistakes, because when you're growing fast, things change. I think mistakes will happen, but they're also an opportunity to learn. So I'm curious to know, what are some mistakes you and your team have made along the way, and what learnings did you get from there?
We would say faux pas, not necessarily mistakes. Um, when we had some hiccups, they also came from the fact that um, there are a lot of things to be done in the same time. So what we learned very early was to prioritize, to make the right priorities, and um, to have like a red line that is always aligned with the long term strategy, marketing strategy, and also business strategy. Because when there are a lot of things, what maybe people don't understand in a startup, usually when you hear a startup, you hear energy, you define a lot of dynamic, there are a lot of it's a very dynamic environment. I'd say for me, working in a startup is a creative chaos. And in this in this environment, you should always have something that guides you. So a few projects, a few priorities that you always have to take them into consideration, whatever you do, whatever event you organize, whatever press release you send out, whatever digital campaign you make, whatever product marketing activity you do. So we learned that, but we learned this thing because we had the chance to experience, and you learn by doing. In a startup, you learn by doing, and this is what we learned. We learned that we have to prioritize, and to always have like the big picture in mind, because there are days in which you are very caught up in operational tasks, and sometimes if maybe if that goes on for a long period of time, you don't want to lose focus. So we learned that very, very early, to always be focused on what matters for the marketing team, and what are the marketing objectives, and also what matters for the company. And here I'm very, very lucky, because I work with people that have a lot of experience. So that's why I wouldn't say mistakes. because when you have people with experience, they have an experience of dealing with a lot of challenges. So I was very lucky to be in marketing team that is very that has a lot of marketing background. And in this way, we dodged we not necessarily we dodged the bullet. We saw the bullet coming and we dodged it before. So also
Before it happened.
another thing that maybe is necessary in a startup is to have a lot of to preview the things that are going to happen, because if you can solve the problem before the problem appears, then it's just that's just amazing. And that comes, of course, from a lot of experience that my colleagues.
Christina, you talked a bit earlier about where you plan to grow, and future plans at DRUID. I'm also curious to learn what marketing levers are you pulling to get there.
So because we want to have this global expansion and have it fast, we rely a lot on offline and online marketing, because we will open new offices in Germany and France, apart from the one that we have already in London and in Houston. So we will focus with marketing, offline marketing activities there. We will also deepen our brand awareness strategies. We'll collaborate further with the international PR agencies, because um, I mean, locally it's one thing, but as you know, every market has a different way of doing PR, especially here in
Mm-hmm.
our domain. And in the UK, it's a whole other universe, because one of the biggest and the most important, like influencers and teachers and analysts and researchers in PR are coming from there. So for me to go from Romania and do PR in UK, that would be a mistake. That would be a mistake. So we won't do that. We will rely on local PR agencies that are well known to
Mm-hmm.
promote and to create the right brand awareness for DRUID. Because I think here there's a thing to be pointed out. It's one thing to have brand awareness. It's another thing to have the right brand awareness that targets the right customers, and that ticks the right points, and that also pain points of a client. So we want to focus on that also. And we will in the near future, we'll have more aggressive campaigns to boost the demand and lead generation. So we will also focus on that, and everything to support this new repositioning with conversational business application and global expansion.
What would you advise other marketing leaders working also in fast growing startups and companies? How would you advise them to look at their marketing strategy so that they grow long term?
Here I know the three is the magic number, but I have four. Let's hear. So
Sounds good.
the first thing would be to know your audience, and I couldn't stress that enough, especially in
Mm-hmm.
B2B. Know your audience, go where your audience hangs out, engage with them, engage with your community. Just try to find out everything that is possible about the competition's audience. What makes your audience stand out from the competition. So know your audience, know your audience, know your audience. Then really understand the market that you are in, and the market that you want to target, because these are two different things. Of course, you should focus on the market that you want to target, and tailor made your technology, in our case, but like your solution to what the audience requests, and also what are the market trends, and see if those market trends will be there, maybe on the short mid-term and long-term, because sometimes there are these trends in market and people go there because they have this impression that they're gonna do great, and because the trends change, then we have very unlucky cases of businesses that don't do that well after, because they have to readjust, and have reconsider practically everything. Then what we would recommend is to have a coherent marketing strategy, like having those long-term objectives really well defined and really well aligned with the business strategy. I think that is very, very important, because from that everything emerges, like every activity, marketing, doesn't matter, marketing, sales, product, if they are not aligned with, like, from the business perspective, then there may be some issues along the way. And finally, we would say to build a brand, like stand out, or build a brand that stands out from the crowd. And what I think that is very important for startup to understand is that it's never too early to start creating a brand, because or having a brand, because there are startups that they wait until they have series B, series C of funding, and then they do a rebranding, or that is the point in which they start thinking about the brand, if it's relevant and stuff like that. So we would recommend to have this discussion and to have this decision made early in the process, because once the audience knows you for a name, knows your identity, your brand identity, changing their minds, and sometimes forcing them to change because you decided to change, because the brand is not representative anymore to the product or to the concept. It's a challenge, and it causes some issues that could have been avoided if the brand was built in the beginning. So this would be from DRUID's marketing team piece of advice.
Super interesting.
Free counseling.
Yes, there's this question that I like to ask every guest, and I'm very curious just to learn about them and know what they wanted to be when they were children. So, what was your dream job as a child? And I promise this is the last one.
If I were to think about it, I'm actually quite emotional when I think of this, because when I was 11 years old, we had this guest teacher from Scotland, and she made us make a shield with the things that we like. And one of the questions was the favorite color, and I put green there. And another question was, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I wrote there, I wrote there something like, I want to become an event planner, because I want to witness people in their, like, most joyous moments of their life, or something like that. I don't remember quote unquote, but what was interesting for me is that last year I was looking for something through some documents, and I found this shield, this piece of paper. Of course, I started crying because for me, of course, I forgot about this whole situation, and that I ever wrote that I want to become an event planner. But it was so strange to me now at 30 to see that at 10 years old, I already knew that I want to do something, with PR related to people, and to helping to being a witness to people at that point in their most important events of their life. And I'm super lucky to do that as in my everyday job. I'm in a company in which from in the last year I was a witness of one of the important moments, and I actually got the chance to contribute to them. So for me, it's very emotional. I mean, it's actually a dream come true. I can, without any modesty, I can say that I'm one of the uh, people that actually love what they do for a living, and it seems that I wanted to do this from when I was a young 10-year-old.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Christina,
Thank
and
you.
thank you so much for all the insights you shared today and your ideas. And I'm just very grateful to, having the chance to talk to you and learn about Read. So thank you so much.
It was a real pleasure. Let's do that again sometime in our podcast.